Here. All right. So what we're working on this week, freshmen, is we are working on a Latin America outline project. Okay. So what you're looking at here, this is just Edmodo. Okay. So this is what your Edmodo should look like right now. You should just see that I have the two attachments, right? The Zoom meeting from this morning, and then um we have the assignments and such posted here. Okay. So again, what we're working on this week is the Latin American outline. If you go to Edmodo and you open that up, you're going to see something that looks like this. This is the rubric and the instruction sheet. All right, so that's going to open up here. It might take a second. Groovy. Hang on. Okay. All right. So here's what you're going to see on Edmodo, right? You're going to see our outline. Okay, and I don't know why the zoom on it's kind of funky, but we'll talk through this here really quick. So in essence, what you're going to do, and this is on your own, right? You're doing this one on your own, no partners, just you. And what you're going to do is you're going to pick any Latin American country you want, right? So anything from, Mexico to Central American countries to the Caribbean countries to any country in South America. Those are all Latin American countries, all right? So you pick any one of those that you want, okay? And you pick just one country to focus on, right? So pick one Latin American country. And again, Latin America includes countries in Central America, the Caribbean, and South America, all right? What you're then going to do is you're going to create an outline, and I'll show you what that format looks like here in a second. And some of you are probably familiar with it. And what you're going to do is you're going to create an outline. Okay. We'll talk about sources here in a second, but in essence, what you're going to do is you are going to choose three categories from this list. Okay, with the exception of sources, everybody does sources, but you're going to choose three categories from this list, whether it's government, demographics, economics, independence, national issues, or cultural features. You pick any one of these, or excuse me, any three of these that you want. Okay, any three of these sections, you pick any three of those that you want, and what you're going to do is you're going to create an outline for each section. Okay, and again, you're picking out a Latin American country, and then what you are doing is you are picking one, two, three of these categories, and it can be any three you want, right? So you could do government, economics, and national issues, or you could do cultural features, independence, and demographics. Any three that you want. Okay. So I hope that is very clear to you guys. You pick any three of these categories, and then you create an outline for each category. Okay. Not seeing anything in the chat box or anybody else here. I'll keep going. So I'll kind of do an example one here for you guys and show you what this could potentially look like. I'm going to do a new document. Okay, so again, you should be seeing my screen. There we go, and there's my new Word doc. Okay, and so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you kind of what a sample of this is going to look like, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do just a sample one on Canada. And I know some of you are thinking right now, well, Mr. Rowe, Canada is not a Latin American country. I know that. You guys know that. But just for the sake of an example, I'll show you what this should look like. Okay, so I'm going to do Canada. So assuming that Canada is a country in Latin America, which again, it is definitely not. Okay, it is aggressively not a country in Latin America. But nonetheless, I'm identifying my country here at the top, Canada. And if you want to include a picture of the flag or anything like that, you can do that as well. Okay, so I centered it, go Canada. And then what I'm going to do, and this is really easy, Microsoft Word, I'm pretty sure Google Docs will basically do this for you. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the top here, and where I see my bullets, I also see numbers. I'm going to select numbers, and that's where I'm going to start. Okay. So I'm going to start with the number 1. Okay. I'm going to go back to my list here really quick, and I'll show you an example of what this should look like. I'm going to go back to my list. There we go. And I'm going to focus on, for our example here, I'm going to focus on doing government. Okay. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm doing this section in my outline. What information do I need to include? Okay. So I'm doing an outline of the government. Providing accurate, I have a word missing here, accurate information of the country's government. The following must be found within the outline. Okay, type of government, current leader, years served, and the route to office, governmental structure. Okay, perfect. So I have a pretty good idea here of what I need. And I'm going to, obviously, when I'm doing this, if I'm you guys, I'm probably going back and forth and I'm double checking to make sure I get everything that I need. Okay. But just for the sake of our example here, what I'm going to do is, okay, number one, that section is going to be on government. And that's all I'm putting there. Okay. I'm just putting that this is my section on government so that I know that. Okay. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to hit enter. Okay, question here. And again, McKenna's asking a question. Do you have to do the government outline? And the answer to that is no. Okay. The answer to that is no. So what we are doing, again, is you pick any three of the categories. Let me get my sheet back up here. And again, what you do is you pick any three of the categories that you want. Okay. You do not have to do government if you don't want to. You pick any three. The only one on here that you don't get to pick is you have to include sources. Okay. So this last section on here, this is a must. You have to do this. All right. From these above 6 categories, you pick any three of them that you want. Okay. And you're going to do an outline on 3 of those sections. So right now we're just looking at what the format is. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my document. I hope that answers your question. I'm going to go back to my document. I got to find it. There we go. Okay. So I know for this section, I am focusing on government. Okay. I'm going to tab over, and one of the questions on my, on our rubric here is what type of government does Canada have? Okay. So that's going to be my first tabbed in thing right here. Canada has what's called a parliamentary democracy. Okay. So that answers that question. So number one here is telling me when I'm looking at this, my first section that I'm doing is government. Okay. This next letter here, letter A, is telling me that Canada has a parliamentary democracy. Okay. I'm looking at my list again. I answered this one right here. I answered the type of government. Current leaders, what I'm going to do next. Okay. Current leader of Canada, if you guys all remember correctly, is Justin Trudeau. And what I might include next is I might include that he is the Prime Minister. Okay, so I know what his title is. He is the head of their government. Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada. Okay, and so as I'm adding subpoints here, I just tab over, and I want you guys to notice that Microsoft does this all for me basically, right? Number one here is basically addressing that this is the first section I'm doing. Small a, small b, we are just answering the questions here on the list as we go. Okay, so Canada has a parliamentary democracy. The leader is Justin Trudeau. This next sub point here that's tabbed in, and all I'm doing is hitting tab. And let's say I wanted to back this up, which, you know, that's not the correct way of doing this. So all I'm doing is to add another letter as I'm hitting return. And then to tab, and then to add a next, like a sub point, I'm just hitting tab. Okay. Okay, so I'm just hitting tab, tabbing over. Justin Trudeau is the Prime Minister of Canada. Okay, perfect. So, and then to reverse tab, right? So let's say I'm here. So I'm here. I hit enter or I hit return again, and it does this, and that's not what I want. If I go shift, tab, it's going to move it back. Okay. And I can do it again there if I want to, right? So you're just using tab, or you're using reverse tab, which is shift, tab. Okay. Pretty straightforward here as we get going. Okay. I'm going to tab over. So again, I'm answering my questions here on the list. Canada, we're looking at the government. They have a parliamentary democracy. Their leader is Justin Trudeau. He is the Prime Minister of Canada. Okay, perfect. So I've answered a couple of things here. Let's see what else I need to include. Okay, years served and the route to the office. All right. Okay. Knowing that a little bit, I'm going to say Justin Trudeau has served for about 5 years. He's been prime minister since 2015. Okay. The next question was route to office. In my case, what I'm going to do is I think that's a sub point. So I'm going to tab over and I'm going to say that Justin Trudeau was head of the Liberal Party in Canada, one of their political parties. Okay, I'm going to hit enter. And that he served in Parliament. Okay, and that kind of talks about his political background. All right, lovely. So I've answered quite a, in just a short amount of time here, I have answered quite a bit of what I need here for this section if I choose to do it. All right, that last thing here, because we've answered these 3 bullet points, we've already done that. That last one that remains is governmental structure. If I'm going to do something like that, mine's going to look like this. Okay. And again, I'm not going to number 2 because number 2 would represent a brand new section on economics or demographics or whatever. I'm not done discussing government yet. So what I'm going to say is structure of government. I'm just going to put that out there like this. Oops. Canada, very much like the United States, has a legislative branch. And I would discuss that here. And maybe here, talk about Parliament a little bit. Oops. Okay, talk about Parliament a little bit. Go reverse tab. They have an executive branch. Again, talk about it. A couple of sub-points like that. And they have a judicial branch. And I would talk about the court system. Okay. Oops. Okay. And once I had this information filled in, assuming that I was going to go through and do it all, I would be done with that section. I would go reverse tab all the way back to number 2. And then I would decide what section am I doing next, right? Which of these categories am I going to do next? And again, you have to do 3 of them. So let's say I'm like, okay, I'm going to do economic activity. That's going to be my second section. Economic activity. And then I would start doing the same thing here that I had done for government. Okay. Alrighty. So we are going to stop the recording.